Well, first of all, oh my God, Owen. Like, wow. Like, I've got to follow that now. Thank you very much. I feel like I need to do my story just like this. Like, I've got a story to tell you as well, a creepy one. Oh my God, he rouses you, doesn't he, Mr. Owen? Feels like I want to, play rugby and chase after dragons or a beautiful man. Firstly, be still my beating heart because what delicious accents we've had tonight. Whew. So Gemma and Bethan have put me near the watershed, so I hope I can live up to my festival main stage time spot. Or maybe they put me there because I'm a dark retrobate. I'm not quite sure. Okay, so I'll go on script and I'll take my tone down a little bit as well. I do hope you like my feathers. I found them in a bin, so I hope you're into that. There we go. Evening all. I'm Perry Berline, horror writer, voice actor, and drag artist. I have an audio series called The Dark Doors about a cross-dressing exorcist. So if that's your bag, there's my shameless plug, darkdoors.com. And I write for an online publication too. I'm a bit of a shapeshifter. If you hang around Colchester's arty scene, you'll probably catch me being naughty on stage at some point too. Thank you all for being here tonight. When we share stories like this, we're not just building community, we're also performing a kind of communal exorcism. We all carry hauntings inside us. Some go deep. I truly believe that the only path to sanity is embracing our shadows, not hiding from them, acknowledging all aspects of our dark little souls. A big thank you to Gemma and Bethan for organizing this evening. I think what they're doing is crucial, not just in Colchester's scene, but for carrying a much needed torch in today's world. Community, ritual, and exploration, folklore, myth, and story. These are how we make sense of the chaos. God knows we need more sense in the world right now. So with all that buttering up, I'll dive in and hopefully get fiendishly cerebral on all of you. My life began in the Welsh valleys, just like Owen, so I'll start my story with a line in Welsh to open. Mae yna gysgod y tymeni mi yn llechi, ysbryd a anwyd gan famau. There's a shadow inside me lurking, a haunting birthed by mothers. My story is called A Shadow of Mothers. My mother was a psychologist. Looking within has been a lifelong vocation for me. While most households were tolerating a racist uncle at the Christmas table, my family endured the scrutiny of dead psychotherapists like Freud and Jung. Perry, have you cleaned your room? No, ma'am, I'm having an existential crisis. It was one of those kind of houses. Like most families, we carried dark secrets. Some so dark, they took on a life of their own. This is a story of a family curse. It's a story of haunting, of twisted visions, of possession. You will have similar stories inside you too, in your houses, in your dark places. My mother became a psychologist because her mother was sick. Manic episodes, psychosis, psychotic breakdowns. Psychology was how my mother tried to rescue herself from that sickness. Grace, my grandmother, now spends her final days in retirement home in the Welsh valleys, coming to the end of her life. But she endured a hard existence, raising her siblings single-handedly after her own mother, Gwyn, died of cancer when she was just 8 years old. The women in my family seem cursed, dying young, suffering greatly. Stories of anguish, illness, and loss ripple through generations of my Celtic mothers. This suffering extends beyond living memory, beyond anything we can trace. Extreme poverty and unrelenting pain consumed my grandmother. On the day of my mother's birth, the curse came again. In the form of a stillborn twin, her name was Kate. My grandmother called her Little Kitten. Clutching her trauma to her chest, gently cradling the lifeless being, malformed and innocent, lying there next to my screaming mother, a breakdown gave way to psychosis. sanatoriums, mental institutions. My mother lived in the shadows of this darkness for the day she was born. Later, my mother too succumbed to the ravages of mental illness. Haunted by the horror of her childhood, we heard stories over tears, over glasses of wine. Her own mother crouched in the kitchen at night, whispering to herself, whispering to ghosts, self-harming, throwing herself on an open fire. My grandmother's mind was taken by darkness I can't fully comprehend, an enduring haunting of mothers, passed down a lineage of pain, despite her education and a determination to overcome her own mother's affliction. My mother was consumed by drugs and alcohol, trying to hide this Celtic mother's curse, but ultimately doing its bidding. The weight of generational trauma is lasting and wicked. Its figure looms over me and my siblings to this day. Mothers birthing mothers, mothers birthing curses, generation to generation. I too carry it, the blackness and the burden. Left to face the demons on my own, I confront it through my artwork, through drag and my creativity. I seek peace with feminine energy. I celebrate its beauty while trying to heal its pain. But I too am haunted. She comes for me. She comes for me as a reoccurring nightmare, a gaunt woman in tattered nightgown, standing with her back to me at the foot of my grandmother's garden, under the shriveled grey leaves of a dying eucalyptus tree, her presence suffocating, smothering. I see her in my nightmares when my eyes are closed. I see her in daylight when my eyes are open. She waits for me always. As a child, I was cruel. I chased cats in my grandmother's garden. I'd corner them, scare them with loud noises. Once I cornered a cat and in the shed and prodded it with a stick. Its scream was like that of a frightened little girl, deep, guttural, piercing, the sound of a lost little girl, terrified and alone. It shook me. If you know me now, you know that cats are my life. I've rescued and rehomed over 30 of them. They've become my children, my sanctuaries. I see them as mystical beings, familiars who walk between worlds, sacred souls who watch, who know. There's a feminine energy inside them, raw and primal. The day I tormented that cat, I can't help but wonder if I stirred that female energy, antagonized it, hurt the feminine part of myself, spoiled its beauty, reawakening some pain in my mother's, some wound of the earth. The cat's scream became an embodiment of fear for me. Its shriek echoed in my body, my limbs stiff, my voice stolen. It visited me in my sleep. It still does. That haunting followed me, my body frozen, even my eyes open, paralyzed, fear, caught in a recurring nightmare. My night terrors alienate me from others. I sleep alone. I belong to her. I never know when she'll come, but when she does, her body looms, her face obscured by wild hair. I hear her growl, low and guttural, building like a storm. My pulse races, my body trapped as she comes for me. Her growl morphs into a scream, a child's scream, a mother's scream, a cat's scream. She stands over me then, her mouth wide, darkness in her throat, that shriek possessing my mind. Even when I wake, eyes wide, limbs paralyzed, she's there in the room with me, standing over me, watching me. Buddhists speak of tulpas, beings conjured through the thought and meditation, beings that can manifest in the very room you stand in through powers of the mind, materializing, living with us. But she wasn't summoned by will. She's a haunting, a story inherited, born of pain. Her voice, her image, her presence passed through generations, inhabiting my sanctuary, my body, my mind. I'm not sure I'll ever escape this curse. Its visage hangs over me always. I don't even know what it wants from me. Writhing in pain, locked in its own loop, it's like a kind of feminine rage, waiting to be released. I feel her presence always to my left, always just out of sight. That is, until I sleep, until I'm alone with her, when she comes for me. They say sharing stories can diminish the potency of trauma, of curses. Maybe you've seen shadows in your own life. Maybe your family secrets visit you in the night. I can't offer comfort, but I can say this. Learn the names of your shadows. Let them pass through you. You'll understand that not all beings in this world have a heartbeat, that the dead live within us and among us, as surely as the cries of frightened animals. Let them speak. Embrace your shadows. Thank you.